Hi there, it's Sarah here from BJC Health, coming to you from Sydney, Australia. Thanks for showing an interest in one of our educational events. You're about to watch part one, so enjoy the event. If you've got any questions about the content, then please consider joining BJC Connect, where you can access all of our facilitators live. Otherwise, please consider leaving a comment and we'll do our best to get back to you.
Hi everybody, thank you for coming. Total disclosure, I've got a couple of dogs in another room that are a little bit unhappy that I'm the only one home and they've been put somewhere else. So sorry if there's any interruptions or you hear my family come home in the background, which might happen at some time during this talk. I think this is a really, really important topic. How to try and do what we are recommending for us to do, how to eat well, to maximize nutritional intake, to help us decrease the risk of disease, to manage any conditions that we already have. Over the years, as a dietitian, I'm always asked, how do I do this when fish is really expensive or olive oil is really expensive? How do I do these recommendations? I'm motivated, I'm keen, but I just don't feel like I can afford it. So I'm really glad we're doing this tonight. Please get your questions ready or your challenges ready, comparisons ready, anything that you've learned that you think can help the other people that are going to listen to this. And remember, it's not just tonight, this has been recorded. So if you want to put any ideas forward that you know will be great, we'll speak through Sarah, put it in the chat group. Have it recorded so other people who are managing the same type of health conditions as yourselves, as well as me, I've got a long list of all of the things that I try and do, will hear this over the coming days and weeks, because especially now at the moment, food prices, grocery prices are sky high. I'm not sure we've ever seen them this expensive before. And if you're like me, sometimes you do a shop and then you come home and you think, I've spent however much money and I feel like I can only cook 2 main meals with what I've bought home. And it's really, really hard. And I don't think it's going to get easier quite yet. I think we're going to be in for some of these higher inflation prices for a little while. So please get your questions ready. Take from this what you think will work for you. Remember that when we talk about ideas to a big group of people, my aim is to give you as many suggestions as possible in the hope that 1, 2, or a handful might really help you and relate to you. Some of these things you'll already be doing. Some of them might be, oh, I'll try that. I haven't thought about that before. It's not one of these things where you have to implement everything that I say. But over the years, over my own experiences and talking to clients, these are some of the ways that they and myself have saved money while trying to put the anti-inflammatory eating pattern into practice. So let's just remind ourselves the type of foods that we're trying to focus on. So we want our anti-inflammatory foundation, like our eating base, to be filled with vegetables, fruit, herbs and spices, fish, healthy fats, nuts and seeds, whole grains when you're eating carbohydrates, legumes and lentils, lean proteins for those of you who are eating protein, animal protein, for example. If you are a vegetarian or a vegan, then you'll be basing your meal plan mostly on plant proteins, obviously. And then drinking adequate water and having other drinks such as herbal teas. You might enjoy a coffee now and then, or whatever your pattern of fluid intake is, but that we have good hydration, really important for anti-inflammation, as well as lots of things. Really great for energy, great for your kidneys, great for your bowel, and of course it can come free because you can get it directly out of the tap. Now, yes, there's a little bit of controversial questions always been asked about, is drinking tap water okay? There's been a couple of articles recently that have said that there are some places of Sydney potentially that the tap water is not great. I don't know enough about that yet, but you do want to drink plenty of water. And if you decide for that to be bottled water or filtered water, a lot of my clients have got filters that they've installed in their kitchens. People, if you can't do that, it's relatively expensive. You can buy the cheaper versions of just the personal filtering of water, like Britax, I think, is one of the main brands that does that. Some people feel more comfortable doing that with their water so that they feel like it's healthier. So let's think about what are some of the things you can do on a budget to help you put this anti-inflammatory pattern into place. So one of the things I think are important, and I'm sure many of you are doing this, is to buy things when they're on special. But I also have a system where I buy more than one thing of my staple foods when it's on special. And I know a lot of my clients in the past have asked me how I do that, and then they've adopted the same system. And this is not just with food. I do it with washing powder and all sorts of things. And I have like a little mini version of a rotating supermarket happening in my pantry and my laundry, for example, or cleaning products, shampoos, etc. Where, let's say, the tin tuna I eat is on special, I might buy 3 of them and I put them behind the one that I already have in my pantry, so that then the one I bought the furthest time away in the past is the first one I eat and take out of my pantry. I have found over the years, and I did actually do a little bit of tracking of myself, that did I really save money by doing this? And I certainly do. If the cereal that my family eats is 40% off or half price, the other day I bought 3 of the cereal. It's a semi-whole grain cereal that my kids like, that is a lot lower in sugar than a lot of the kids' cereals. It was half price. I bought 3 of them. I actually end up having to put them in a different storage cupboard because I've just moved house and my house is a bit smaller, so I'm getting used to this space. And so I've saved $4 on each box. So I've already saved $12 just in that 1 week. And I know that it's going to last them, or hopefully at least a couple of weeks. Kids go through cereal a lot if you've got those at home, or grandkids at home. So if you find things that are on special that you normally buy and you know you're going to eat them, buy more than one, especially if you've got the space to store it. Online shopping, I like to grocery shop. As a dietitian, that's been actually one of my household chores that I enjoy the most. I like going shopping. I like reading food labels. I like seeing what's new. If a client has mentioned a particular product and I haven't used it before, I like going to the supermarket and pulling it off the shelf and having a good read of its label so I can go back and give feedback to the client. But I have to say, online shopping is something that can be really useful for saving money, because you don't see everything. You don't walk past every chocolate. You don't walk past every bag of chips. You don't walk past every processed food that's on special. It can actually save you a lot of money if you stick to a list. You know what you're going to purchase. You only search for those items. And the bonus is that if you are particularly sore or you're having some mobility issues, whether they are acute, they're short-term or longer term, having somebody deliver your groceries to you is also an advantage for those of us that have arthritis. I've just had surgery. I've done online shopping for the last 4 weeks because I'm not allowed to carry anything, push trolleys. It has been actually amazing to do it again because I haven't done online shopping for a while. I have saved quite a bit of money. I don't take my children online shopping, so that also helps. And I've stuck to a list and I meal plan. So that is another key method of saving money on the anti-inflammatory eating plan. Some of the things that you buy might be a little bit more expensive because you're trying to get the leanest cut of meat, or you're trying to eat salmon at least once a week, and we know that these things are not cheap. But if you meal plan and you know what meals you're going to be cooking that week, you will only buy what you need and you're less likely to have wastage. And so if you can meal plan, and then what my clients have done in the past, this is a great tip, is when they've meal planned, they don't just do it on a scruffy piece of paper. They actually meal plan properly. Often they will type it into their computers, Monday to Sunday, or just the dinners that they're planning. If they're using any recipes, they match the recipe to the meal plan. They print it all out and put it together as 1 week's worth of shopping, as well as the meals that goes with for that week. A lot of my clients have done that in the past on my recommendation because it saves them a lot of time. And on busy weeks, if you know it's Saturday and you know this week's going to be super busy, you can pull out one of those meal plans that you've used before. It already has the shopping list. It has 2 or 3 recipes attached to it, plus maybe a recipe or 2 that you just, obviously the ones that we cook all the time, we do them out of our heads. They go shopping and they save that time because it's already pre-planned, and they also save money because they're shopping off a list. So they try not to get distracted with thinking that they need lots of things to make different meals, and then some of those foods will go to waste, especially when we overbuy on vegetables that get a bit wilted and then they don't last so long. Having this bank of even 3 meal plans that you can pick up when you're not feeling your best or you're time poor is a really good strategy in the future in saving time. It takes a little bit of work to make them in the first place, but once you've done that, nobody's regretted it and they've kept them for a long time. And they cycle them over, and some clients end up getting quite keen over time, and they might end up with 8 or 10 of these different meal plans. So they also feel like they have some really good variety. So buying things on special, often buying more than one when they're on special, trying online shopping if you haven't before, and sticking to a list is really helpful. One of my other strategies for saving money, and again, it can take a little bit of time, I'm lucky enough to be able to shop nearby where I have a Woolworths. Only recently in the last few years, they've put in a Coles. There's a Harris Farm. There's a healthy food shop called Source Bulk Foods, where you get to go with the scooper and just buy what you need or what you want in a small amount. And there's a butcher, and there's a separate fruit and veg not far outside of the village. But in this village, I can then afford to be able to compare prices a little bit. And I don't have to go too far to the other supermarket or to Harris Farm to get some of the fruit and veg or fish or meat that they have on special that the other supermarket doesn't. Now, up until a few years ago when that wasn't an option for me, and I've shopped at this village. I actually used to work at the Woolworths in this village when I was 14 to 22. When I didn't have that option, I couldn't be bothered to go anywhere else. I would just buy in the one place because I didn't have the time to run around finding all the specials. But if you can shop somewhere where you have more than one option, an Aldi, a Woolies, a Coles, if you can get at least 2 of those, if you have a smaller fruit and veg shop or a Harris Farm, a butcher, you will find that they will have to put some specials in place to be a little bit competitive with each other, which is an advantage for us when we're looking for some of those more expensive meat cuts or fish. If you've got we don't have a dedicated fish shop in this shopping village, which is a little bit unfortunate, but you can still get fresh fish in a couple of the different Harris Farm and Woolworths. I know that you can also, at Aldi, for example, buy really good frozen fish in portions. So one of the next things on my list is not to be worried about buying frozen. I have been asked this question many, many, many times over the years, and understandably so. People have said to me, Mon, is it okay if I buy frozen vegetables? Is that a disadvantage to my health? Well, in actual fact, we think that in some instances, or in many instances, it actually could be better for you. If you buy frozen broccoli, that broccoli has been sealed and frozen potentially within hours of being picked. So rather than some of the fresh fruit and vegetables that have traveled around storage containers and trucks and the back of Coles and Woolworths in their fridges, some of those foods can end up being a little bit too old, and the frozen foods retain their nutritional value. The caution for that is to please don't buy frozen vegetables, for example, that are frozen with a marinade or a sauce that is then higher in salt and not so great for you, or it could have more preservatives, for example. So frozen foods are good, even canned fruits are good. My tip for canned foods is if they're often are, they've got a juice. So if you buy canned fruit, please, for the most part, don't drink all of the juice that it's canned in with. Just have the fruit part, because the juice is going to be a lot higher in those natural sugars and calories that you're trying to avoid most of the time. And canned foods, try and run off the brine as much as possible. Try and get low salt varieties or buy in spring water so that you don't have the extra salt. So canned foods and frozen foods will still give you a lot of the anti-inflammatory compounds that we want to get when we're eating this way. So you don't need to feel worried about that. The great thing is that you'll have less waste if you buy some frozen. You'll just cook or stir fry or steam the part that you need, and the other bit can stay there for 4 days, 2 weeks before you use it again, and it won't get wilted, it won't go off, and it won't go moldy. A great way to save money. And of course, for those of you that hear me talk often, canned lentils and legumes are amazing. So they're anti-inflammatory, they're high in fiber, they're low in glycemic index, they're cholesterol lowering, they can help with blood sugar control. They will bulk out any meal for you really cheaply. So what I do is I try and buy the best cuts of meat. I actually spend more money on my meat knowing that I'm still only going to buy, for 5 of us, quite a small portion, because I will rinse and drain a can of lentils or cannellini beans or chickpeas or kidney beans, and I'm going to add it to the meat, and I'm going to add vegetables, and it bulks it out, and it feeds us not only once but twice. So if you get the more expensive cut of meat, it's really going to travel a lot further if you bulk it out with lentils and legumes. Keeping in mind that lentils and legumes, 1 can at the moment is anywhere from $1.80 to $2.50, depending on the brand and whether it's on special, and that's a 400-gram can. So it's going to cost you, $5 a kilo to use lentils and legumes. It's going to cost $36 a kilo to buy the leanest type of lamb. I use mince. People ask me a lot about mince. Is it okay? I buy the extra lean mince. 500 grams costs $10, but with a can of lentils in it, grated zucchini, some carrots, some mushrooms, whatever else goes in, it lasts, it feeds us twice. There's 5 of us. So it feeds us 10 times for 10 people, 10 serves, I guess you could say, for probably $16.50. So $1.60 a serve when I make my chili con carne or my nachos mix, which kids love, or bolognese, or I do this kind of mix and then I use it for meatballs or lasagna. And it's a really great way to make your money go further, but to enhance the anti-inflammatory properties to the meat by adding the extra vegetables and the lentils and legumes. And of course, try and buy vegetables and fruit that are in season. My mother-in-law said to me the other day, I went to Harris Farm, the Brussels sprouts were something like, can't remember what she said, they were $2 or $3 a kilo. And the green beans were something like $12 a kilo. She said, I bought the Brussels sprouts and they were really nice. So if you buy fruit and vegetables that are in season, they will be a lot more cost effective. And to be fair, they should then probably be Australian grown, which I like to also advocate for. And they will tend to be more local, so that your produce is not traveling for so long, and therefore retaining hopefully more of the nutritional value. So there's more than one way to look at this. It's not just cost, it's what we're getting out of that food from a nutritional point of view. Sarah, I'm only halfway through my list. Are there any major questions at this point?
Well, I think we've had a couple of questions. I'm interested in this too, because this is an area I know pretty much nothing about. I've never been very good at eating tofu. So people have, it's been a bit of chat about tofu. So maybe could you give us, is it anti-inflammatory? Maybe that's part one. And then a lot of people have asked, like, how do you store it? How long does it stay good for? Can you freeze it? So maybe like a quick rundown on tofu. If it wasn't
great questions. So if you're trying to do more plant-based eating, the same as the lentils and legumes. A square of tofu, the one that I tend to buy is the macro organic tofu from Woolworths, because it's there. I buy firm tofu because for me it's easier to cook with, because I'm not a master of tofu cooking. You know, I'll always be honest with you guys. I'm not a chef. I'm a dietitian, but I'm not a chef. I think a packet of tofu is about $5, and it's about 350 grams worth. So again, a lot cheaper than a lot of your meat, and it will go with vegetables. So if I make a tofu and vegetable stir fry, it's a big tofu and vegetable stir fry. It's not small. It will feed me quite a few times. My kids won't eat tofu. What you do is you drain the fluid, or if you know you're not going to use it all in one go, you take the portion that you want and leave the rest of the tofu in the fluid in a tight container. And that is one of my other tips. It's one of the last ones on my list, but I really want you to think about investing in good Tupperware and Pyrex glass bowls with the Tupperware lids. They're wonderful for freezing food so that you do not waste it. Cooking in bulk can be a great way to save money. So if you've done that, you need some really good storage options for your leftovers to go into the freezer. And then it's there for another time. Again, always thinking more than one reason why. It's great for money saving, but it's also great for when you're not having a good day. If you're too sore to cook, you don't feel like shopping, you will have something in the freezer that you can always turn to as an emergency, which is much better than getting takeaway or fast food if you're trying to be anti-inflammatory. So then the tofu can go into one of these Pyrex bowls in the fridge. I have to say that I haven't frozen tofu. We would have to have a quick look. Maybe Sarah can quickly search for me, is it okay to freeze tofu? I haven't done that myself, because I've always bought it just in that small portion and I will eat it over 2 or 3 days. If you don't use the whole portion, I normally say try and use most of your foods within 3 days. So whether it's been cooked and you've put it in your fridge, I try not to eat it past the 3-day mark. You reheat it really well. And for the most part, no one's really had any problems. If you are pregnant, you wouldn't do that. So I have a 3-day rule. If I cook and I freeze food, I quite like to eat those foods after I've cooked them within 3 weeks after I put them in the freezer. And I tend to try and label them somehow. I've got like those little stickers where I'll say this was the date that I cooked it, because I will forget. I pop it in the freezer, and then I know that I'd like to try and use that at some point within the next 3 weeks. That is not necessarily science-based that that's what you have to do. It's just what I feel comfortable with. So it's a little bit different for everybody, but certainly from a fridge, I wouldn't be keeping anything in a fridge for more than, say, 3 days.
Okay,
Hope that
I'll
answers that question.
yeah, I think that was good one thing, and I will try and look up the freezing thing just while you're going on about something.
And a great source of protein is tofu.
Okay. So worth investigating.
Yes.
What's your take on, and I've often thought this and never asked you, the pre-made sort of barbecue chickens that are often available, you know, Woolies and Coles, and like, how do you rate them? Like, obviously, we know chicken's good protein, obviously good source of meat, but yeah, do you still sort of steer people to sort of get the fresh ones if possible, or yeah, how would you navigate that choice?
Look, I'm all for some cheating. I think we all need to do that in our lives, make things a little bit convenient. If you go and buy a barbecue chicken, it is a much better option than a lot of your other convenience options that are available. I will definitely, and I know this is hard for a lot of people, try not to eat the skin. So buy a barbecue chicken. It's on a rotisserie, so a lot of the fat actually does drip away. And if you take the skin off and try not to eat the stuffing, then it's actually a really great thing to go and do. I might do that with a salad. So if I've prepared a salad and then you go and get the barbecue chicken, you peel off the skin and then you shred the chicken over the salad, it's a really great summer thing to do. Quite recently, during the holidays, we did an easy barbecue chicken meal with vegetables. And then the next day, I could then use it for rolls and sandwiches with avocado and tomato and Lebanese cucumbers. So I'm okay with barbecue chicken. The stir-fried vegetables that you can buy at supermarkets that are not you can buy the frozen ones, we've talked about that, but also the fresh ones in the fruit and veg department, but they're the little packets of stir-fried vegetables. I often get those. I really like the superfood mix, the super food vegetable mix that's got red cabbage, carrot, green cabbage, kale or broccoli. They're fantastic. They're already shredded up, cut up. You just put it in the pan with a bit of olive oil, stir fry them, either a splash of soy sauce or a splash of teriyaki, and then it goes down on the plate next to the piece of chicken, piece of fish, or little piece of lean meat. And it cuts corners, but in an anti-inflammatory way. And some people have often said to me, and you can sometimes get those on special too, but some people have often said to me, some of those mixes can be expensive. The one that I really like is not that expensive. But then when I've said to them, when you buy all your fresh other vegetables, do you use them all? And most people will honestly say to me, no, in the end, I don't get through all the vegetables I buy and I have to throw them out. So some of these small bags of shredded up vegetables might seem expensive for what they are, but you will actually eat the whole bag. Not in one meal. That's usually worth at least 2 serves, or if you're cooking for 2, then you'll use it in one meal. And that does save money because you're wasting less as well.
so you've just finished watching part 1 of one of our recent educational events. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you'd like to access part 2, then you need to sign up for BJC Connect. It's a free platform where you can access not just the recordings of past events, but also access a whole range of upcoming future events and access our team of facilitators live. All of the details that you need to join BJC Connect are now flashing up on your screen. But otherwise, like our stuff, subscribe if you'd like to see more information from BJC Health. Look forward to seeing you in an event soon.